Hey everybody, it's Kevra. That's me, I'm Kevra. Have you ever had this reaction? Yes! Yes, it's That was my reaction to the September Direct. Now, normally, my reaction for a Nintendo Direct does not come with caveats. Because, let's face it, yeah, you could always just be like, well, we don't know if it's a good Nintendo Direct or not because we don't know if the games that they showed are actually gonna be good until we've played them or until reviews come out. But honestly, you can't really judge a Direct on that because it doesn't really change how you felt in that moment. For example, Tears of the Kingdom ended up being my least favorite 3D Zelda game. But back in 2019, when they announced that the sequel to Breath of the Wild was in development, I went crazy. I was so excited. I was going nuts. So the actual game being kind of a disappointment does not change my initial reaction. However, this Direct was a little bit different. I didn't have to wait for the games to come out or for more information to get released after the Direct to already start becoming a little bit hesitant as concerns and questions started to develop even while I was still watching that announcement. But before I start questioning the things that I am kind of excited about, I want to start with the things that I have no questions about. I'm just plain excited about, starting with what I think is probably the best announcement we have literally had in years, which is the Virtual Boy. Now, this is coming from someone who's never played the Virtual Boy, who, from what little I've seen of it, it looks like absolute garbage. It looks like something I am not remotely interested in, but that's exactly why it's awesome. I mean, this is such a niche thing that they probably shouldn't be wasting their time on. I mean, nobody actually cares about the Virtual Boy. Yes, it does have a very small, rabid fan base, but this is not going to be a very lucrative thing for Nintendo, but they're still doing it. They know that the vast majority of people are not gonna pay $100 for the piece of plastic on the eShop to be able to use the Virtual Boy, but they still made it and they're still selling it. And I applaud Nintendo for doing this so much. Again, this is just something that you wouldn't see other companies doing because it's so stupid for Nintendo to do. It makes no financial sense whatsoever. I mean, it was confirmed by Reggie Fils-Aimé that they didn't translate Mother 3 because they didn't think that it would sell well and it wasn't worth financially backing and going through all the hoops of translating and then shipping overseas because, again, it wasn't going to be something lucrative for them. The Virtual Boy is also not going to be very lucrative for them. This is a very, very niche product, and the fact that you have to spend, either at least $25 for the crappy cardboard version or $100 on like the real plastic actual good version to even play these games is just mind-boggling to me that Nintendo is still going through with this. This is such a huge win for so many reasons. Again, even if you don't like the Virtual Boy, it's like I don't plan on ever actually using the Virtual Boy, buying the plastic bullshit, none of that. I'm not gonna utilize this at all. But again, it's what this means, what this like stands for is such an incredible thing. Like, I never thought that this was happening. I never thought that they were actually going to do this, and this is just crazy to me that they actually did. This was completely out of left field. Unlike the Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC, which I did predict. I said that I put a post the day before saying that was one of my predictions. Not Mario Kart World, but Donkey Kong Bonanza DLC, and that absolutely came true. And I'm super excited because that game is awesome, and I'm excited to have more content, honestly. The other announcement that I'm not really excited for, but I think looks interesting, is the Ditto Pokemon thing, where you're like terraforming the Earth based on like Pokemon abilities and all that kind of stuff. This doesn't seem like my type of game, honestly, but it does look fun for those who would be interested in this type of game. So I am kind of happy for those people. And the same thing goes for Fire Emblem. I'm not a big Fire Emblem guy, which is why for me, the ending, the last reveal was kind of a weak one. And I still do feel like it, I mean, not like they should have like put something else there instead, but it did feel like a really weak way to end the Direct considering Fire Emblem doesn't exactly have the biggest fan base. So it was kind of a weird closer. If it was the opener, that would have made more sense to me, but I don't know, to me, it was almost like, closing out the Direct with like the new Yoshi game or something, where it's like, I mean, yeah, there are gonna be people that are happy about it, but at the same time, yeah, a majority of people won't give a shit. I mean, even though Fire Emblem has been selling better over the last few years, and they've definitely been building that fan base, yeah, it's still, I think their best-selling game was like 4 million copies, which is a little bit better than like a Metroid Dread. Like, it's fine, but it's just not a strong closer. But hey, I know people like it. I'm not gonna shit on it. Again, I just think that was a strange choice. But then again, I don't know what else you could have necessarily closed that direct out with. And I think that was kind of my problem. Like the things that I got really excited about were mostly the Mario portion of the direct, the DK Bonanza stuff. And again, even though I'm not gonna play the Virtual Boy was just, it was so crazy to me that it became like my standout moment of the direct. But when it comes to all the third-party stuff, I usually don't get that on a Nintendo console. I will usually get that on an Xbox or a PlayStation because they always have better performance. I love Nintendo because I love their exclusives so much, and I really don't care about power that much, but at the same time, if I have the ability to play it on a more powerful, better visual console, that's the version that I'm gonna get. So even though Dragon Quest VII Reimagined and what was it, Resident Evil 9 Requiem, I think both of those looked like pretty good, but I'm just not gonna get them on the Switch. So that kind of stuff really doesn't matter for me in the direct. For me, it always just comes down to mostly the exclusives. And it doesn't get more exclusive than the plumber himself, Mario. But that's where all of my questions and concerns basically were. And let's start with the Mario movie because this was the one I was the most excited about. I was not expecting a Super Mario Galaxy movie, but really only because of the leak from, what was it, a few months ago, just earlier this year, where Universal commented and called it Super Mario World. And so I thought that was going to be the movie. But before then, I literally thought it could have been anything, because I've always said, ever since they first announced that they were doing another movie in the Mario universe, they never said sequel. Which is why I've always said it could be a Donkey Kong movie, it could be a Luigi's Mansion movie. Odds are it was going to be a Mario movie, but every time people said Super Mario Bros. 2 or the Super Mario sequel, it really bothered me. And I even said that in one of my videos from a few months ago, where I couldn't stand that people were constantly saying that. Because for all we knew, it was a Mario Galaxy movie. It was going to be Mario Sunshine or a Super Mario World. And while I did think it was going to get acknowledged in this direct, I was kind of skeptical about getting an actual teaser trailer. I mean, first of all, normally teaser trailers these days aren't even actual teaser trailers. They're just regular, normal trailers. But this was an actual teaser trailer where it showed like footage that I'm assuming isn't even going to be in the movie. They just kind of compiled something to show you like it's going from the Mushroom Kingdom up into space, which was the perfect way to do it. And it completely caught me off guard because again, I was expecting Super Mario World, and the fact that it was a Galaxy movie blew my mind, even though I suspected it actually a long time ago. But then Universal Studios basically tricked me with their fake leak that might have been intentional, but or they probably just combined, Nintendo World with the Super Mario movie. It was just a brain fart typo kind of situation, but still, absolutely the craziest announcement for me. I absolutely loved it. I'm so excited. But all that being said, I did find it extremely strange that they just re-announced the cast list that was from the first one that was exactly the same, except for it was missing Donkey Kong. Although that technically doesn't mean that he is not in the movie. Maybe they didn't announce him because he's only in like one scene, but at the same time, Cranky Kong was in like one scene, and they still announced him for the previous movie. But maybe they just announced Cranky Kong last time because they were like, we want you to know all the Mario characters that are gonna be coming, have faith, this will be a good movie, blah, 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 blah. But I don't know, I still feel like Donkey Kong won't be in this movie. I feel like they're probably working on a Donkey Kong Country movie. It's gonna be its own little separate thing, and so they're just waiting for him to return in that. But still, the fact that they didn't announce any new characters at all, I thought was very, very strange. Now, Miyamoto said that, they weren't really basing it on the games, like the games inspired it. So I do wonder what all is going to be different, if they're going to add the Koopalings into it, if Yoshi is going to play a much bigger role, kind of like in the Super Mario World 2 game, where he's basically the protagonist to a certain degree. Maybe there's something very integral with the green Yoshi that was teased at the very end of the last movie. I don't know. Maybe Yoshi won't be in this movie at all. Maybe the Yoshi egg was simply we're gonna make a Yoshi movie. That's what the egg was about. Which is kind of like what Marvel was doing with their post-credit scenes of setting up different characters to get their own specific movies. Again, I don't really know. All I know is that I'm excited for this movie, but at the same time, I'm also a little bit cautious of it because I didn't think the first one was that good. It was very faithful. It had a great music soundtrack. But if you took out those two things, if it wasn't based on an IP I already knew and loved, it wasn't a good movie. Like, the reasons people like it are really just because, oh my gosh, it's Mario on screen. Look at how beautiful the Mario universe was. Oh my gosh, they did it so well. It's not butchered at all. The music is so great. They have some really good moments of my favorite characters doing this thing and that thing. But again, if you had no attachment to it, you'd probably think it was a shit movie. And I'm not gonna be surprised if Super Mario Galaxy is pretty much the exact same thing. It has really good music, especially, oh my gosh, the Mario Galaxy music is probably some of the best in the series. So hearing that on the big screen, like, that soundtrack's gonna be phenomenal. And again, Nintendo's involved, it's gonna be very faithful, but will it be a good story? Will the characters, actually be built well, have good motivations, all that kind of stuff? And I'm like, we'll see. In fact, I do wonder if, because the first one people were so surprised by how well it was done, now the second one, there's gonna be higher expectations, or it's like, okay, we already know that they're gonna do a really good job with it, and then they watch the second one, they're like, okay, that wasn't actually a good movie. That was just Mario on screen for 90 minutes. That was, So even if the movie does turn out to not be as good as what I speculate it might, I am at least kind of really excited to see what the fans' reaction, if again, they're like, okay, the first one, we just wanted you to get it right. You got it right. Now the second one, like, give us a good movie. Oh no, it's still not a good movie. Okay, that's gonna be interesting to see. And of course, they weren't gonna have the movie without re-releasing the games. Like, it makes so much sense that if you're gonna do a Super Mario Galaxy movie, you re-release the first two Galaxy games, but I still was a little bit surprised because, again, we already have Galaxy 1 available because of 3D All-Stars 5 years ago, but I get it, it's discontinued. Of course, you're gonna repackage it and try to sell it again now as a bundle of Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. And this is something I'm kind of excited for, but at the same time, it really depends. Now, you might think that I'm gonna complain about the price, but as I've stated before in earlier videos, I don't give a shit about price, honestly. It's one of those things where if I don't think it's worth it, which I don't think it's worth $70, and of course, I'm a physical guy. I'm always gonna buy physical media. I don't think it's worth $70. I'm gonna wait for a sale. When it goes on sale, then I'll snag it for a much cheaper price. But that's assuming I even want to get this, and right now, that is something I actually don't know. And the reason I say that is, I love the Galaxy games. I think the Galaxy games are fantastic, but they're fantastic on the Wii. When I tried to play it on 3D All-Stars, and I had to do the Pro Controller with the motion, I thought that was trash. And of course, you could go old school and try to do like 2 Joy-Cons, like the Nunchuck and Wii Remote, but those are vastly inferior to the Wii Remote and Nunchuck. The Joy-Cons fucking suck. It's the same reason I had trouble beating Skyward Sword HD on my Switch. I beat it twice on my Wii, but I got like halfway through the Switch version and just had to put it down because fuck the game, those controls are way worse. But Nintendo has said that the UI is gonna be different. You can do button controls, you can do motion controls, you can play this game in a variety of ways, but that was also true for Skyward Sword, and again, I thought it sucked because the non-motion part where I don't even remember how you did it, but I know you did the stick and then I think you held a button and that was awful. And then the motion was also awful because again, it's not like a Joy-Con and a Nunchuck. So I don't know if I want to play this game. I might wait until the Wii Virtual Console comes out and then they sell us the Wii Remote and the Nunchuck, and then hopefully they do an update for this game and I can go back and play it that way. I really don't know if I'm actually going to get this or not. these are great games, but I just don't know if they're going to play well on the Switch. Like, I really want to because they've got a higher resolution, and the Wii resolution sucks. Like, I hate playing stuff on the Wii unless it's like it's a multiplayer game usually. But for the single player games, it's just hard for me to go back and play in that terrible resolution. But I don't want better resolution if I'm gonna have worse controls. And like, that's the really big issue, is the fact that I've already played these games with better controls. So when I'm playing it with worse controls, I'm just constantly thinking about how much better it was on the previous version that I currently still own. So yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do about this, and I don't know if I should be excited for it or not, even though, again, I do love these games the same way that I love Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I think that's one of the best 2D games, if not the best 2D game in the entire series, but the expansion pack DLC, when they first announced it, I was like, yes, it was actually one of my predictions. I said, that's probably gonna be a thing, and it was, and I got super excited until they started showing it off, and I was like, what is this bullshit? Like, this just looks like mini games. This does not look like anything I wanted like more like worlds and stuff, which I think there might be. You know, they said they have like more content coming that they haven't announced yet and all this kind of stuff, but what they showed off did not look remotely good. Like, even if this was like in the base game or something, it was just like free or like a free update, I probably wouldn't care, because it's the same way that I feel about mini games in Mario Party. Because if you watched any of my Mario Party videos, you know I think that mini games are good, but if you're just doing mini games, that's boring as fuck. That's like, there is no point in doing that. The whole game is a strategy. You're going around the board, you're doing all these different activities, and the mini games are just a way to get more coins and just have like little wins here and there. So just doing a mini game in Super Mario Bros. Wonder sounds fucking awful. I have zero interest in whatever this bullshit is. Like, no, I don't want to play tag. No, I don't want to try to hit as many of my friends as possible, all the other kind of stuff. I also don't even know if you can do this online or if it has to be couch co-op. Like, do I have to have some other people in the room with me to play this? Because if you remember the online for Super Mario Brothers Wonder, there was always like a ghost person that was, if you were playing with your friend, it was the ghost version of them. They weren't actually there. And so I don't even know if you can play this online with people or not. So that's, again, I'm not really interested in it like to begin with, but then you add the factor on that, like, oh, what, I have to play with like locally people? Like, that also really sucks. So like, everything they showed off made me go, what else you got? And we don't know. Like, that's the problem, is not until like the next direct will we find out, you know, what extra courses there's going to be, what extra worlds there's going to be. And so like, I want to be excited for this. Again, when they first showed it, I got really excited, and then when they started showing me what's in it, all my enthusiasm was just instantly deflated. And that's why I don't really know how to feel about this direct. I mean, it gave me so many highs, but then instantly deflated them for a variety of reasons. Whether it's because I remembered that the first movie wasn't that good, and that this could just be kind of a repeat of that, even though the music's gonna be great, it's still gonna be, you know, nice to see them do a faithful adaptation, but if it's not a good movie, that's gonna be sorely disappointing. Remasters of Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 could actually be a really good thing if they fix the controls, but I don't know if they will. And that means that I won't actually want to get these games, and that I'll be really kind of happy that they're there, but also not happy because I won't actually play them. And then Wonder DLC has so much potential, and I so want to go back and revisit that game. It was such a good game, but nothing they've shown so far makes me excited. Like, these things existing and being shown off at first made me so happy, and then it was just kind of all taken away as reality set in a little bit, as questions formed in my mind. But what do you guys think? I mean, by now, the Galaxy games have actually already come out. Maybe you've played around on them, and maybe you're like, you know what? I think the controls actually work pretty good. Maybe you think the Mario movie is fantastic and that you don't need to improve upon what the first one was. Maybe you think that all the stuff they showed for the Wonder DLC already looks great, and the other stuff is just going to be icing on the cake. Let me know down in the comments below, and until next time, I'll catch you later.